this idea of a sort of a cold launch of a game. No build-up, no announcement, no open beta, no...
Okay.
No nothing. The game just drops. Happened with Apex.
Yep.
And
there have been a few in history. I seem to remember one of the... was it a Fallout game? I know Xbox has released hardware like that.
Yeah, there's been a few games that are like, and it's live now.
Yeah, and by the way, you can go download it right now. Things like that.
Yeah, it was announced at E3, and it was one on the Xbox platform. I don't remember which game it was, though.
Yeah, I don't recall.
So
obviously it did a great... made a great impression.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, hey, we're talking about it, though. We remembered enough of that. I want to say it was Forza or something like that.
No, I guarantee it was not a Forza title.
I know, I'm just... Okay. You know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Or something like that. Something involving cars.
So I'm pretty sure it was a game that you used a controller for, that it was on a box.
Oh, that.
Yeah, it was the one with the guy.
The guy with the hair and the thing?
Yeah, who goes out with the girl.
So what about that topic did you want to explore?
Well, it's the pros and cons of doing it that way that's kind of got me fascinated, because as I'm looking at the difference between Anthem's easy example, or Division 2 actually is another easy example right now. These games that have launches that seem to go on forever. And
years of build-up, yeah.
Right. It's all this build-up. And during that time, so the upside of that is you're giving your game exposure, you're building publicity, theoretically, you're building hopefully positive press, etc., etc., etc. The downside to that is that in this crazy-ass fucking overhyped nerd culture that we all live in now, and that certainly nobody on this podcast thrives on, but other people in the gaming company might. Or in the gaming sphere might, rather. You're giving people so much time to pick apart every single solitary little thing that you do, and bitch and moan and complain and gripe and all that stuff.
Wait. You're saying that people on the internet complain about things?
Well, it's been known to happen on occasion.
Wow.
I know. Hard to believe. But
when they do bitch about something, it's about something really important, because it's
it's legit every time.
You really have to take it to heart.
And it's always backed by a factual argument, rational thinking, and really well-structured logic. I've noticed as well,
and solid good discourse, right?
And of course, well-structured language.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Let's not forget about that. Yeah.
These are very well-spoken people. They've clearly studied grammar at a very high level. Let me put it this way: they are as concise, coherent, and well-spoken as our president most of the time. And shots fired. Oh yeah.
A bar so low you couldn't.
I went there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
a bar so low you trip over it.
The point that I'm laboring towards. The bar so low that you trip over it. Oh, that's him in a nutshell. The point that I'm getting at is if you just drop your game, or your whatever, your product, you don't sort of slow roll the release of whatever it is, an album, a game, whatever. You're not giving the community the chance to do that. And you wind up getting incredibly good buzz just by virtue of the fact that you're like, boom, finished product, here it is.
Holy shit, it's here. Yeah.
Well, not to mention what you save on marketing.
Well, right. that too. I mean, you still got to go out and spend that money to a certain degree, but I mean, I mean, that's kind of my question to you that I wanted to ask you guys about is doing it that way better than this, like, hey, we have an alpha and an open alpha, and then a beta, and then a closed beta, then an open beta, then a launch for pre-orders. Then,
so there's some, there's some pros and cons. I think we've listed a few of the pros already, in terms of keeping people from taking part in your game, and more or less, you can't. There's no anticipation of what it could and couldn't be.
Right.
It's just there, and it's going to be judged on what the game
It
is.
is what it is.
Pro.
Yes, absolutely.
But the other problem is you have to market your game. Literally, your whole marketing budget is going to be about a month long, instead of like 6 months long, which is,
Well,
good in the sense of like you're not spending as much money, but also now you have to like really consolidate. So like people in the gaming world who game lightly but don't follow like the gaming market and gaming news necessarily may not even know this is a game that exists. And so that's a problem. I mean, you haven't marketed it for the last like 6 months or 2 months or whatever it is. So I don't know. One big thing though in this one, which is interesting because EA has 2 games coming out in this first quarter. We thought it was only 1, but it's 2. The first that we knew about was good old Anthem,
Right.
which has a demo and a VIP demo, and a lot of people are excited about it because of those demos. A lot of people are complaining about it because of those demos, because of the servers issues that they had and stuff like that. And so I think it's interesting because you can directly compare these two, because I know some people are saying, no, I'm not going to buy Anthem just because it was EA. Or because it's EA, it's going to be a bad game, or it's going to be slogged with predatorial microtransactions. And
I do not know one person that
marketing
said anything
strategies.
close to that.
yeah, I don't know
Really?
anyone like that.
I know people are worried about Anthem, or there's been a long-term worry about what
Sarcasm.
Anthem's going to have in it in terms of microtransactions. It's been revealed that it's not going to be anything other than cosmetic, and all sorts of things like that. They've been more or less having to like put out small fires like that, from what I've been seeing on Twitter and such. There's
Definitely no people that are currently making this podcast that have said anything like this before.
No, God, no.
Oh no, I'm not saying on this podcast,
But you
necessarily.
may as well, dude. That is me. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, well, but Neil raises an interesting point there, because I haven't heard jack shit from anybody saying, "Oh, I'm not going to try Apex Legends because it's EA." I haven't heard that that at all.
So, the thing about Apex, I think that dropping it the way they did was ingenious. I think that was a wonderful idea, because EA does have a horrible stigma, whether you agree or not. It has a really bad track record of microtransactions and being the worst company to work for. It's a bad apple.
Oh, it totally does.
It's a really, really big bad apple, but it's still a bad apple. So with Apex, they released it out of nowhere, which is, I think, a really cool move to begin with, because I'll go into reasons that I think that that's probably the best approach to, well, not the best approach, but it's a better approach than this long form alpha, pre-alpha, beta bullshit that we've gotten so accustomed to. But the reason you don't hear the bitching is because people got their hands on it immediately, so they don't have that stigma of, ooh, what's it gonna be, and it's free. So you get in there, you find out exactly what it is. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Period. There's really no gray area there.
Yeah, and in this age with like where No Man's Sky was promising this and that, how much confidence do you have in a developer when they say, "Oh, we promise there won't be loot boxes in this game"? I was like, okay, I kind of believe you. You know what I mean? Whereas when the game is out in front of you, there's the answer. You have 10 articles describing what kind of microtransactions are in the game, how they affect the game, and all that stuff. And you can figure it out because the product is there in front of you.
The thing that we've gotten so accustomed to with the pre-alphas, alphas, pre-betas, betas, closed betas, open beta, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
I managed to get my hands on a pre-alpha invite to Destiny back in the day. I was really excited about it. I bought a PS4 so that I could play it. And I played the shit out of it. Enjoyed it. And then I played the alpha. And then I played the beta. And then the next beta. By the time the game came out, I didn't really have a drive to play. And I burnt out on that game really quickly. Because I had already put in my time. I think that model is absolutely devastating to games.
You know what? And that's funny. I didn't even think about that. But we have games like Fortnite and PUBG that sit in beta for years.
Yeah.
Ever.
I mean, I understand. We've talked briefly, I think, prior about why Fortnite does it. John brought up a really good point that I hadn't even thought about.
Right.
Which is it allows them to do weekly updates.
Right. It circumvents the rules of the system.
Yeah, and so I get that and I understand that, but it's still frustrating to know that that game will never leave beta.
Right.
And it will never. The developers will never say it's a quote unquote complete game. So, what's really cool is to have them say, "Here it is. Yes, we're going to do patches. No, this game is completely finished. It's yours."
Well, so here's something else to. So what I'm hearing is, you guys like this approach because it doesn't give the peanut gallery time to get pissed off.
That's a huge
More or
thing.
less.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't play on the fears a
Well,
little bit.
but
You know what I mean?
you get an opportunity to know exactly what you're getting into immediately. You don't have to wonder whether or not you're going to enjoy it because you can actually find out right here, right now, whether or not you like it. There's no bad press. There's no developer getting on stage saying something idiotic, starting some controversy because you know the internet and its controversies. It's just a consistent turmoil of issues and people saying stupid things.
And let's be honest, though. I think if this had happened like 4 years earlier, we may not have been as impressed by it.
Oh, probably not. No.
But happening in the climate that is happening today, or not the climate, because I think things are moving away from a lot of the issues that we have had with games. But
Are we?
I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it.